Yo, what's up, everyone in the PV community? Got a really cool one today. We've got Jeffrey here for the live stream. If you guys don't know, Jeffrey will introduce himself briefly, but he's like one of the sickest riders I've seen. Part of the Hoyt team, diverse PV rider. But I'll let you introduce myself. So let's bring Jeffrey to the stream.
What's up, y'all?
What's
I'm
up,
Jeffery.
Jeffrey? Thank you so much for joining. It's an absolute pleasure. It was really great to. I seem to find a trend here. It's like everyone I've met from Esk8con, it's like a second win from Esk8con, like catching up. So, so Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining. Do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about who you are and how you're involved in PV? So,
Well, first I will say it was great seeing you at Esk8con, just shredding and having some fun. I don't know if you guys saw that video that Thomas actually made a few weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago, of us like just partying and just enjoying the ride in Vegas, which was an awesome.
Was it the Hoyt ride or was it the Vegas Strip ride?
The Hoyt ride. Just like everybody out on the Hoyts and everybody out Hoyt Metro Board and just all of that, you know.
To be fair, just a quick recap on that. I really feel like I missed an opportunity to talk about Metro enough. I think what it is because I think with the transition of Metro looking on new products nowadays, it was only like the one product back then. But obviously, introduce of the new products. We'll talk about more about that later. But I think that you know, next time around we need to get obviously more footage of that. So yeah, so who are you? Do you want to talk about your involvement and whatnot?
I'm Jeffrey. Some of y'all may know me, some of y'all may not. A lot of people know me from social media. Like I definitely like at Esk8con, a lot of people came up to me and they're like, "Oh, what's up, Jeffrey? Like I know you." Like I'm like, "Great!" Like it's a surreal feeling when you have people that know you from online and then they see you in person. They're like, "Oh yeah, like I know you. Like I've seen you online. I've seen videos of you riding and stuff." Like I'm like, that's awesome, man. It's like, and then you get to meet the people that like you've helped out online. So one thing that I love to do is just try to help as much as I can. So like when I help people online and then I get to see them in person and they're like, "Oh, you really helped me." Like I've had people that I've recommended boards to, and I saw some people that had like a different board that I recommended a year ago, and they're like, "Yo, I absolutely love that board. That board was great." And now I'm here. Like they're on a bigger board with more range. They're like, I never thought it would get so deep into like Esk8 or like PEVs in general. And like your recommendation like really helps. So like that really like makes my day when like my help really helps someone else, you know?
Yeah, I feel that a lot, and I seem to get that a lot with like the YouTube and me as a rider. Like, I don't get me wrong for a second. I really appreciate how fortunate I am to ride different things all the time. But got a question for you. When you recommend a board, this is one I always have for myself. Do you recommend a board from what they describe? I always give people two options. I say, here's the board that I would recommend you should have, and this is a board that I would buy because it's like a double whammy kind of thing.
Yeah. So this is the thing, right? I recommend depending on what people are looking for. So the thing is, I have my own mental just like checklist, you know. So I'll ask the person that sometimes they'll put a post up and they'll be like, "I'm looking for a board that has X amount of range, and I want this amount of speed out of the board, or I just want a board that has all-terrain tires and gives me this amount of range." And then I also like when it gets into that, or like they start asking more questions. I'm just like, "Yo, shoot me a message." And then once people shoot me a message, I'm like, "Okay, great. Like, what kind of style board are you looking for? Like, are you looking something with like RKP trucks? Do you even like know about like what kind of trucks are?" So like if someone's looking for like a mountain board kind of feel, then I'll shoot them towards a board that's like more mountain board-esque, you know? Like back in the day, if someone was looking for like a mountain board-esque board that can take like a beating pretty much. I used to like recommend Cali. Cali's no longer with us anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I used to recommend Cali. And then if someone like says, "Hey, I'm looking for like a board with RKP that's stable, etc." Now, currently, since I am part of Hoyt, I'm recommending either this is the dad bod right here, or like one of the newer boards, because the thing is with RKP, a lot of people want a certain feeling of the board. And like once people start describing to me like what they're looking for, I kind of have like a checklist of what I can like recommend
Mm.
to that person. And then I also ask, hey, what e-skate are you riding now? And what are
Yeah.
you looking to move up to? Because that's all part of it. It's like what are you I want to know what you're used to, and then what you're looking to step up to, and if you're looking for a little bit of change in between moving from one board to the other, or if you want like a good massive amount of change,
Mm.
to me, it's very about you can describe what you want, and then I can kind of try to match up that. And then I am also an e-skate shop, so you can also find me on Instagram under Hyper E-skate Repairs. So I own my own PEV shop here, based out of Brooklyn, New York, and locals that have asked me, "What board do you recommend?" I'm like, the more I speak with them, the more that I'm like, okay, so there's no boards on the market that would really, I would say, check the boxes, I guess.
Mm.
Because like yes, some boards will check certain boxes, and then certain boxes that the customer really wants aren't on that board. So then I'm like, okay, well, we can grab parts from that board. Like one thing that I just have described to customers is I love the Rosa trucks on the Hoyt boards. So I'm like, okay, you don't want the feel of the dad bod, or like you don't want the feel of the UAV, that size deck, right? So what deck would you like? So they'll describe that deck, whatever. I'll buy that. Like I can make that deck an enclosure, and then bring the Rosa trucks onto it. And it's like, okay, you got a little bit of Hoyt with your board, because I know that this truck is stable and it's the kind of truck that you like. And also, like, depending on the budget you're looking for too, because I always tell customers, I'm like, okay, I will say, like, yes, you can go with a cheaper truck, you can go with like cutting costs, but at the end of the day, you're gonna go back and upgrade it eventually, right? So would you want to just go full blast out and build out a
Do it
board?
right the first time, or do you want to buy it twice, basically?
Yeah, exactly. And some customers, they're like, oh, like I want to just, you know what? Let's just ball out, and let's just build a board out to like top spec as best as it can be, and that's it. And I actually have a customer, like three customers. Um, I actually built myself three boards, summer, 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 back to back. Every summer I would build a board when I first got into like DIY, pretty much. And I'm like, yo, I love building, So what I would do is I would build a board, and then I would sell the board in the winter, build a board during the winter for next summer. I would ride it during the summer, and then by the end of the summer, I sold the next board, the second board that I
Mm.
built. And 3 summers back to back, I pretty much built boards in the winter to ride them in the summer. And then by the end of the summer, I had someone that would just be like, "Yo, I want to buy that board. I like that board. I tried your board and I want
Mm.
it." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll sell it to you." So the very first board that I ever made came back to me about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and I completely did a rework on it. And the board was a 12S4P 18650 from back in the day pack. And looking at my build quality from that time
Mm.
to now, it's like, oh, like before I used to use like this like big huge connectors and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, no need to use those big connectors anymore, like because we found better connectors and things have advanced, and like my building.
It's mad, isn't it? Because it's a combination of electronics which are consistently, constantly upgraded all the time, then hardware as well. So there's well, like now let's bring it back to grassroots a little bit. Like how long I know you've been in this scene for a long time, but how long have you been involved in the
I
PEV
have been
community for?
involved. I have been involved in the PEV world for about 7 years now. I Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy. I got into it back in like 2017, I think. Almost. Has that been 7 years? 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21,
Yeah,
22.
7.
Yeah, that's 7 years. Yeah. So like it's been a while, and it's just like And it's wild because it feels like now that I like think about it in my head, I'm like 2017. I'm like, damn, that feels like so now, like it was so like yesterday, pretty much. But
Hmm.
then you count it out, and you're like, holy shit, that's 7 years. Like it's been a while.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
mad how quickly things like change so quickly in the
yeah,
community. So
exactly.
like, what was your first kind of introduction? Like, you know, if you don't mind me saying, like,
Yeah.
how old was you when you got into this scene? Because you know,
So
most people like,
when I got into the scene, I was a fresh, ripe old age of 14.
wow,
Yeah, so I was a 14-year-old on a boosted board V1. So story behind that, the V2,
profound.
yep. So that's back on my X-Way days when I used to
That
be on
X-way,
X-Way.
yeah.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
was
go on,
on a
go too
boosted
far.
board
Sorry.
V. I was on a boosted board V1, and I bought the boosted. So I bought the boosted board V1 off Facebook Marketplace. Like Facebook Marketplace had just come out at the time,
I
and
just know something. Sorry to speak. That's Fred, isn't it? There.
yes, that's Fred.
That must have been one of his first boards back
Yeah,
in
that
the
was one
day.
of his first boards. I think that was a summer that he
And
got
that's
into.
City Surfer as well, isn't it?
Yep, Corey City
Wow.
Surfer. I think uh,
Tom in
Tom
there?
is right there. Yep, that's Tom,
Oh, there
Fred,
he is. That's Tom.
Corey, Sam Sheffer on the far right that joined us that day.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I see him. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So Sam Sheffer is actually a friend of Tom's. So
Yep.
Tom invited him. Was like, "Yo, like, you want to come out?" And he came out. He was free that day. So yeah, so Facebook Marketplace had just come out at the time, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, I'll look at it. And then I remember Casey Neistat is what got me into boosted boards because like most people, it's like it was the Casey effect with boosted. You know, it's like Casey Neistat really like dude zipping around the city on a boosted board. You know, and it was like it was awesome. You know, so me as a kid in like middle school at the time, I was like, yo, that's awesome. I used to watch Casey's daily vlogs. I used to see him like riding around the city and stuff. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get a boosted board. I'm gonna get a boosted board. I really want a boosted board. And at this time, like I was just a regular dude, just literally skating regular longboards at the time. And I'm like, yeah, I really want a boosted board. And then I looked at the price and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
14-year-old kid. There's no way I'm gonna make $2,500 to buy this board. Because at that time the V2 had been out already. So
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah,
People argue that's the best boosted board they ever made at
the
the time
V2,
when it
yeah.
was made.
I would say the V1 was probably the best board, I would say, quality wise, like heavy duty
Okay.
wise. Because with the boosted V1, they had metal pulleys, they had official caliber 2 trucks. The mounts were actually like straight onto it, like DIY pretty much, onto it. And it was just so great to see because now when you look at the V2 lost some quality on certain parts, you know. So like the V2 had plastic pulleys for the wheels, and then the motors were now swappable, which was nice. But there was also the electronics did like get better for sure.
Hmm.
Now the electronics had 2 Bluetooth modules, so you would be able to connect your phone and your remote to the board at the same time. With the V1, you want to check your battery percentage on your board or whatever settings on your board.
Yeah.
You got to turn off your
Flip it.
remote, connect to the board, and then now disconnect from your board from your phone, and then turn on the remote and connect it back to the board. So that was definitely one of the things with Boosted. But I will say, Boosted was a really nice board to start with. I actually got it for really cheap. Story behind it was, dude had it for $300. I messaged him. I'm
That
like,
must have
yo,
been biscuits back in the day.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, it was expensive, but like the thing is, the board was a fixer upper board. So like the board had been ridden. Dude snapped the belt. I needed to buy a few parts for it, but the board was still running. You know, so I was like, he was like $350. And he was like, nope. Like I'm like, can I offer? She's like, no, I'm moving away, and I just can't take it. He was moving overseas, and he just couldn't take it with him. So he was like, it's already really cheap. If you look at the price of a boosted board, like super expensive. Like,
$1,500 or
yeah,
$1,600, wasn't they, back
yeah.
in the
So
day?
he's like, yeah, it's super expensive. Like I really use it to commute, like to school and stuff. And I'm moving away now. So I'm like, I told him, I was like, I only have $200. Like, can you do $200? Like, I saved up $200 and I was like, yo, like $200, and that's it. Because I knew I was gonna have to put money into it. Like, I was like, you know what? Like, this board I'm gonna buy for $200, and then it's gonna sit there until I can make some more money and fix the board up. So I was like, you know what? Like $200. He said no. I'm like, okay, got it. Dude messages me 2 days before he needs to leave. He's like, dude, you're the only one that's like that I haven't hit up. Do you still have those $200? Are you still interested in the board? Like, nobody bought the board. I'm like, damn, man. I'm like, I only have $120
No.
because I spent some money already, and I had like $150 left, and it was like mid peak summer, and I'm like, yo, I really want to ride this, and I searched up how much the belts cost from Boosted, and Boosted was selling it for like $30, and I'm like, I really want to ride this board, so I told this dude 120. That's all I got when I had 150. And then I bought the board off him. And that same day, I bought the board from him. I rode over to the shop called Philippaki in the city, which used to be a PEV shop. And I went into the store. I bought the belts. I literally walked the Boosted like 3.5 miles to the store. Bought the belts with the leftover money that I had. They were nice enough to teach me how to install the belts because I was like just getting into
no
Boosted.
idea. Yeah.
That's the day that I rode home on the Boosted, and I made it a mile from my house, and I had to walk the last mile because the battery died. This was back when standard range days, so I made it a mile from my house, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely gonna be fun. So then I started attending group rides and stuff, and then like about 6.5, so I think it was like 6.5 months after I got the board. Um, Sadly, my V1 died. They got the red light of death on the V1, and I had to put it on a treadmill or whatever. And they're like, and I didn't have a treadmill. Like you don't have the luxury of a treadmill in your New York City apartments.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I'm like, damn, my board died. So I was like, anybody knows how to fix this? And some dude offered me like $500 for the board. I'll buy it. I want the parts from it or whatever. I'm like, $500? Okay. Like,
Mm.
and the Mini X, by that time, the Mini X had been out already. Had pretty much recently just started, pretty much. So like the Mini X pretty much just came out. I remember seeing a video. I think it was Andy Mack. He was on the Mini S doing crazy
Right.
tricks. Like he was like, from what I heard,
So
after
that
Boosted
skate
died.
park footage, wasn't it? Skate park
Yep.
footage, that wasn't it?
So he was on the Mini S, and like and from what I heard, rumors like after from like ex Boosted employees, after Boosted went down, Andy Mack could not keep a Boosted alive for 150 miles. Like because Andy Mack, supposedly like Andy Mack.
It's when your local boys are there.
Oh my god! Yes. I am currently recovering from a broken collarbone. I broke my collarbone on my Boosted Memorial Day weekend. Funny enough, yeah. So Andy Mack, from what I heard from ex-employees, like Andy Mack couldn't keep a Boosted board alive for over 150 miles because like dude was freaking
He's
shredding.
wrecking.
He was shredding the board, and people like from what I heard, this dude went through numerous amount of trucks. Like it wasn't even that the electronics failed. It's like dude would land on the truck so hard that the freaking axles would bend. He's like,
I've got a guy like that in the UK. I won't say his full name, but his name's Darren, and he slides, and he's got one of those like kind of like restaurant style bins full of like trucks and motors that just he actually used to back in the day he rides Evolve as well as other things, but he slides his Evolve and he takes two out with him, one to slide, and then when it overheats he puts it away and grabs the next one and continues sliding. He's just hell. So obviously you had the Boosted days and obviously you're doing that. How did you jump on with Hoyt? For someone in the UK market, like Hoyt's kind of been like the phoenix in the shadows for many years.
it wasn't boosted straight to it wasn't boosted and then straight Hoyt. So the step in between boosted and Hoyt was X-Way. So for about almost 2 years, like pretty much at the beginning of the pandemic, um, there was the X1 Pro. Some dude was doing a some dude was doing a
You
yep,
can see the transition, nothing
yep,
but
you can see all
repping.
the transition there. So pretty much dude was like making a demo for X-Way. He was like a YouTuber or something. And I was like, yo, it's interesting to see like all this like different board because the thing is from the boosted to the X-Way, I was like yo, there's so much
Mm.
range. There's so much range that this board, that the X1 Max, no, that the X1
I
Pro,
was really impressed when I did my review for Flex. Like,
yeah,
people, and I keep saying this to people like ourselves, like veterans, been doing this for a while. You are
yeah,
spoilt with choice nowadays. Honestly,
yeah.
like it's ridiculous.
It's true. Back in the day when I first got into it, it was either you get an Evolve or you get a boosted. Like,
Or an
and then
emotion. Inboard,
um,
is it inboard? Inboard as well.
it was inboard, yeah, inboard.
Mm.
But the thing is, with inboard, they couldn't fit enough range in their board. So what they made is they made multiple battery packs. They tried to make them
Hot
affordable
swapping, yeah.
so that you can do a hot swap. So yeah, that's my X1 Pro right there. Me shredding down. That's honestly, I will say, that's the board that I used to do like ridiculously crazy stunts with. I used to do that's the board that I used to get introduced to like sliding. Like I used to do straight revert 180s like on the street and ride backwards because the X-Way had the like the free mode, I think it's called, that you would ride
Mm.
backwards like the boosted because I was used to a boosted. So I was like, oh man, this is great. Because when I first looked into electric skateboards, it was boosted. It was boosted. Um, actually, it wasn't even a thing yet. It was Evolve first that came up. No, the first one that came up was boosted, and then Evolve, and then Evolve was like still like in their GT when it just came out. Like it was GT was just coming out at that time. Yo, what's up, Corey?
What's up,
So
bro?
so it was boosted, and then it was Evolve, and then after seeing boosted and Evolve, I saw that there was Meepo, and then there was a DIY, not DIY. It was like a marketplace where you could buy like a pre-built board. It was a blank board. There was no brand to it. It was just like the electronics. It was pretty much like Hobbywing 1.0 or like before even 1.0 was out. And it was like that with like a 10S 2P battery and like that was the board. So I was like, oof, yeah, flex problems, flex problems.
I
Uh,
never had. I was so impressed with honestly when I did it. But then it's generational, isn't it? It's like I noticed this with the PEVs. It's like when do like Gen One stuff when it comes out. Sometimes there's all these little tinkering things, but a lot of time when stuff comes out straight away, there's issues. But that was a fun little board. But I'm going to say this: X-Way 20% left on the battery that needs to go away. Honestly, got
yeah,
20% left in the charge. It doesn't
yeah.
work. Right, I'm going to narrow you down. Hoyt, where did that come in?
So Hoyt came in after the first annual Eastgate Con.
Right.
So I went to Eastgate Con. I was like, you know what? This is the opening out of the gate. This is when I'm gonna start traveling for Eastgate.
Was it the first kind of international, well, we'll say international, but like traveling
Yeah,
aspect or,
that was the
of,
first. That was the
yeah.
first time I really like traveled far off of like the East Coast into the West Coast. Because like I traveled to DC for like DC Invasion and DC season
Mm.
opener and stuff before. But that's like a short like 200-mile drive out to DC and then like riding with the people over there. But yeah, so I traveled over there, and I had been working for like about. I had just gotten my job. I was working for about like 4 months already, and I was like, I have enough money saved up. I'm going to Eastgate Con. I told my boys, I was like, yo, like, let's go to Eastgate Con. So it was three of us that went. Um, 2 Calis and 1 DIY that I had built. That DIY is now with the customer, because once I got back, the customer is like, "Yo, dude, I want that board." So I was like, "Okay, I sold it to you." I sold it to him the second I got back, and when I sold it, I made enough like money off of the board to like cover like everything I needed to, off the board, off the build, and everything. But when I was over there, I was like, "Okay, this." I tried the UAV. That's where they announced the UAV, and I'm
Mm.
like this board, like something about it, like the energy that like the energy and like just the energy and the friendliness that the Hoyt team had at Esk8Con, like when I first met them, like was freaking amazing. At that time, a buddy of mine that I used to ride with and just chill with here in New York City, that was an e-skater, moved to Portland and started working with Hoyt. His name is Jackson. Some of you guys may or may not know him. So yeah, so now he first started pretty much had been in Portland for like about 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and then he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna be at EastGateCon." So I'm like, "Yo, I really want to go see my boy too, and I really want to travel." So I was like, "Fucking like let's do this." So I go and I ride the UAV. I'm like, I fucking love this board. Like I'm like, I want it. I want it. I'm like, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? It took a while, but the board finally came out. And if you see in that video, those are the original. That's the original UAV, pretty much, with those motors.
Yeah,
Now,
because they changed the motors now, haven't they?
yeah, the motors changed. So now Hoyt uses these motors, the Zoobomb
Yeah.
6384 motors. These are
I was
a
stunned at the performance. I think one thing I learned from EScapeCon, obviously not a DIY element for myself,
yeah,
it's amazing to see actually my perspective on what power really is nowadays. Because you think bigger, badder, and a huge battery, massive motors, it means
yeah.
sod all. It really does. Because I remember I was doing the what was it? I don't. Was you at the Red Rock ride as well? Because there was so many
No, I
people
was not
going.
at the Red Rock ride.
All right, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
I heard it was great though. I heard it was great. That's actually the night that I flew in for
nice.
EastGateCon. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I've been speaking to. I'm going to announce it now. The Wolfpack, which is me, Scott Davies, Craig Taylor,
Yeah.
Drew. We get some cool stuff coming next year. Can't wait. But yeah, I was watching these guys, but it shows what the demographic is. One thing I want to say about like the Hoyt thing, and is it's really hard to explain where the value and the money is on a Hoyt, because they are extremely expensive. They are very, very expensive compared
Yeah.
to specs on everything else. But like you say, I remember when I tried the Hoyt UAV, and I am going to
Yeah.
get one eventually. I swear to God, I'm going to get one eventually. um,
Yeah.
I remember coming back from trying it the first time, and I always consider myself a student, learning at all times. Like what is it about this? This board. Is it just a nice deck? But when you ride it, it's such a lovely board
So
to ride.
if you ask me personally, I don't. So like this is the thing. To me, in my mind, Hoyt is. How can I explain it? To me, Hoyt is not only just I guess, the board itself. You know, um, like the cost of the board goes mainly into the deck and the enclosure, or like the bottom deck,
Yeah,
because they don't call it an enclosure. It's 2 decks pretty much
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Um, and that's like most of the cost goes into that, because it is made by Bamboo Revolution, a company in Oregon. So that's a custom part that's like
Well, it's a third
handcrafted.
party element, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? It's a third party. It's not. It's in house,
Yeah,
but kind of it's supplied by a specialist, I
exactly,
suppose, in that way.
exactly. So another company makes the deck and the enclosure, and the thing is, like, bamboo is a very expensive thing to manufacture. So like it's definitely like when you're making decks, like decks and bottom decks for like the boosted, it's not the boosted. I mean for the Hoyt. Jesus, talking a
Well,
lot about
yeah.
boosted. But like when it comes to that, you're just looking at it all, and at the end of the day, Hoyt pays a certain amount for it, and it's just they're also providing good trucks that they design in house. You know,
Well, that's the
CNC
thing is about the Hoyt board.
yeah,
Literally, and I'm just looking at it now. Just a question if I'm right. Let me just whack this
yeah,
on shared screen 1 second.
yeah,
What? There's not a single element of that board unless they made the screws themselves. That is not made by or manufactured or designed or created by the board. There's not a single element. The tires are bespoke. The hubs, the trucks, even the battery. You know, the only thing if you had to push, the ESC is not designed in house. I don't know.
yeah.
Everything else is
So the thing is,
literally that is it. Literally it.
yeah, the ESC and the motors are not made in house. The batteries made it. So this is the thing:
But who
batteries
else
made
has
in
these
house.
motors as well? So I'm going to take that off the list. You know, who else supplies that
Yeah, I
stuff?
mean the
Really?
thing is, even the Hoyt motors that we're using now, they're basically they're custom Flip Sky 6384 motors. Like we don't lie about that, you know. So yeah, you can grab the Flip Sky 6384 motors off the shelf, you know. But every single other part Hoyt makes, pretty much, like trucks, like you said, trucks, hubs, tires, the top deck, bottom deck, batteries in house. The only thing that isn't made like pretty much like I would go as far as to say like even the puck is made in house because when you get a puck, you get a bamboo puck. That bamboo case is made in Portland by the same
But then,
manufacturer
but,
of
but then the manufacturer of the Hoyt remote thing establishes the highest form. For me, my
yeah.
key ring of remotes, 90% of Hoyts. Just they
Yep.
work. They work.
And like just look at it though, right? Every the Hoyt puck is the most successful Hoyt product in Hoyt's history, I would have to say, because it's hands down is the best remote on the market. Like I very little hear any issues with the remote. Like everybody's like, "Yo, the remote's working great." Like I used to have like this remote and I had it disconnect, and like I've had people like, especially here in New York, you need a puck pretty much because like a lot of other remotes that I've seen disconnected in traffic. Like back in the day when I used to go to group rides, we used to try to avoid Times Square busy like signal
Yeah,
areas
yeah, yeah.
because there was one time where just like 10 boosters just all disconnected and then they reconnected and then everybody's boosted full throttle. Like it was pretty much like 10 riders just straight up fell on the floor.
That's a really good question. I didn't know they made a graphite. That is cream.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask before I don't know what you're allowed to talk about or not talk about, but I'm going to ask for myself. What would I want for a Hoyt remote? The thing is, I've had a series of different remotes on the line, and I feel like extra features would potentially add distraction to the remote that we don't need. Like lights are good. Maybe form of maybe take the square out and maybe put a screen of some kind. But then is that a distraction when you're riding? How often do you really care what you're riding at? So maybe just I don't know
Can't
for the
all right.
DIY element. Change it
So
up.
I can't say much, but there is a new Hoyt remote plan for the
Shut
future.
up. That's mad.
I really don't know much about it. I just been told there is a new remote for the future. I don't know like how long it's gonna be before it comes out. Like it could be tomorrow. It could be next year. It could be next 3 years. Like who knows? It definitely like Hoyt doesn't just make a product and just drop it like this. Hoyt does
No, they
like
don't.
specific testing for a long time. Like Hoyt said to me specifically, I'm like, what does the like everybody that has a Hoyt puck knows that there's a T button on it. That's the trim. That's from like
Yeah,
regular RC car remotes. But the thing is, we don't use it in Esk8, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
the thing is, people are like, "Oh, why can't you use that to make it work like as a on and off button for like lights if you were to implement that on a board?"
Mm.
Well, right.
I think it's red
The
lights
thing
with the
is,
incorporation of the Bluetooth and stuff like that. In fact, I've
you
let's
got the
put this
Bluetooth
up
ones
here.
already.
Yeah, I'm playing with these. Really expensive, but Support Shred Lights, love them, great stuff, and the app's worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, so like I was saying, like from what they told me, it's like, and it makes sense. It takes them about a year to like test, and pretty much if there's a problem within that year, the thing is they got to make a custom firmware from what they explained to me to make the T button work as like an on and off switch for it.
Well, it's an
And then
accessory button, I suppose, in a way.
exactly as an accessory button, pretty much. And you'd have to release like a software update for the remote, and then everybody has to update it. And then if there is an issue while testing, then they need to figure out that issue, test some more, and it can go
Yeah.
from developing it from 1 year to like developing it in like takes 2-3 years. So like Hoyt's working on new stuff. There always are working on new stuff, and it's just it's gonna be it's like if you know Hoyt, you gotta trust the process that it's gonna be great. You know.
I got to ask this question. I don't want to throw in your bus because that's not what I'm here to do in any way.
Yeah.
But in relation to Hoyt, I'm going to say this. I'm going to ask your opinion on the thing. I think with Hoyt, they are publicly announcing the development, which is exciting. But then that puts demand on something that is not in production at mainstream yet, which I think is a bit of a tease in the fact, and it's a bit frustrating. I think a little bit where you're like they've got amazing products and it's coming out, but it's like your public. It's a bit like, for example, a good example is with like Evolve a little bit when Jeff accidentally releases they're making a 4-wheel drive board for the demo thing, and then everyone wants one. It's like back in the day, or I seem to find the demand. You create unnecessary demand before something comes out. So, like, I think with the infrastructure, you've got a really good product, and it's like the greatest strength about the board is obviously unique element and all that stuff, which is lovely and it's beautiful. But it makes it hard because it's not ready.
Yeah, with me, like everybody thinks differently. Personally, to me, it doesn't bother me. It drives me, because it's like it drives so much excitement into it. And the thing is, like as like many people like may think, oh yeah, like Jeff's part of the Hoyt team, like Jeff knows everything about like what Hoyt's working on. Like I don't know every single like thing that they're working on. I get teases too. I'm told, yo, something's great's coming. We're working on something. Like I'm like, yo, that's amazing.
Do you know what they have got? I'm going to shout out there the team they have, including like yourself, or like I'm going to throw Drew under this bus as well a little bit. There is a good team because I feel like in relation to organisations with companies in Esk8, there's this thing where they throw out loads of people, influencers, and what stuff, and stuff gets leaked and it goes stuff like that. I also remember I was speaking to Drew when he had Jackson on stream, and I was like, they talk about a new product. I was like, can I ask an element of what it is? It's like, no, I can't say. I was like, no, I'm not going to bully you. I'm not going to hammer you, knock you down. And like people who are as part of the joint crew are really good guys. They protect their product and their infrastructure. So, it's a really good family. And that's what I really liked is when I went to the White House and I met yourself and the guys like that, I said to Jackson, I'm not going to grill you. I'm just going to ask a question. You can say no or sod off as much as you want. But, I'll be transparent. I just would like to know more about your product because in the UK, in the Europe demographic, UK, USA exclusive, I get things are being done in the right way, but you're killing me, man. Killing me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, the best way to describe it, I absolutely love working with the Hoyt team because like the thing is when you're working with Hoyt, right? So when I was working with X-Way, like it felt like I was working with a brand, like that feeling like you're working with a company. But the thing is when I'm working with Hoyt, it feels like I'm part of the team. I feel like I feel like I'm part of the family,
Yes, I feel you.
Like, as cliche as that may sound, like I actually feel like
I feel
like, they show like that they care about me. Like when I had the UAV, the thing is, a lot of people may think, yo, like Jeff just became a Hoyt ambassador and that was it. No. The way that it worked actually was going back to Esk8Con, the first annual Esk8Con. I love the UAV. I was like, I'm gonna get this board, and then Jackson tells me, yo, the board is gonna drop like in the next week or so, and then they announced it on the Instagram, and all of this, and I'm like, oh my god, it's time. And I was like, okay, I bought the UAV. The first 10 UAVs were 3 grand,
Mm.
and I was like, I'm gonna be the first one. I stood up all night to be the very first order for the UAV, and I fell asleep on my computer that night. And
I know where this is
I
going.
wake up in the morning, 7 a.m. I'm like, holy fuck, I fell asleep. I hope like like the 10 didn't sell, and like now it's 3,500 because like the 10
Yeah.
boards, first 10 boards were 3 grand, and then after the 10 boards, it was gonna be 3,500. So I was like, holy fuck. I woke up, I texted Jackson to me. I was like, yo, did they sell? And he's like, they haven't sold yet. I immediately pressed the order now button.
Mm.
I was the very first person. There's actually a Instagram post. If you scroll back on the Hoyt Instagram, it
Mm.
literally said, Jeffrey is our first UAV owner purchase. This was like about a year back. And it was like
Do you-
it was the most like fulfilling thing
I'll
ever
find it for you,
being
bro.
able to
Don't worry.
say,
It's I'll find it for you. Do you know what though? One thing I've learned, and it's through working that I'm going to throw it under there. I'm going to do this one day. I swear. And I feel like this is my bully support a
essentially,
little bit. So if you're watching, this
let's
is
see.
all on you. Oh, what's wrong with that screen?
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look for the post and I'm gonna
But do you
send
know
it
what?
to
That's
you.
the point. Is I think my look at that. I might as well have two pump shot
Yep,
like
that
oh
looks
look at that
amazing.
cream. Um, yeah. But that's the thing is I've learned this a lot, and I think it's maturity for Eastgate, and I think you kind of the same. Is I want underneath my feet what I believe in. That's all I care about nowadays. Like I said, I think I get that a lot of time as a YouTuber where people are like, "Oh, you're just doing whatever." I'm like, "Nah, man. Like, I only want to show stuff I actually believe in, and that helps people stuff like that." But yeah, I'm gonna throw into the next thing. Like with the I'll find that in a second. With other people, like what's it like to ride New York? There's few places in I want to go as an Eastgate. I want to go New York because it reminds me of London riding,
Yeah.
and I want to go to the Gold Coast and do Aussie. So like, what's it like? The community, the riding, New York.
New York City community is very unique and very different. Um, I will say because like New York City isn't as Eastgate as it used to be back in the day. A lot of people move to EUCs, you know.
Mm.
So it's and like,
Quick
hey,
question before I bounce you back that because we can go back on this. People
yeah.
commenting, "Oh, I'm so scared of Eastgate going down because the UCs are taking over." What's your opinion on that?
Um, it really depends.
I think if
I
you're an
think
e-boarder, you're an e-boarder for life, for sure.
yeah,
Don't be so
I
scared
think
of change and
it just depends on through what lens you look at it, you know, because the lens that I look at it is I'm a skater. I'm an OG skater. Like I've been skating regular skateboarding since I was 10 pretty much. So I was skating for like regular skating for about 5 6 years. Yep, that's me at HQ here in New York City. Um,
great. Happy day,
so
good day.
yeah, definitely, dude. That was the first day that I got the board. I was like, fuck yeah, I got the board. I'm like, I'm riding it through New York City. I'm ripping it. I'm like, yo,
I just
this
want to
board is
highlight that as well. As a ambassador for Hoyt, people
yeah,
you say you invested personally in the company as
yeah,
well. It's not just like I think I got this big pet peeve with the word ambassador and team rider. I think you
yeah,
definitely represent an ambassador because you fly the flag of Hoyt and you're not just you show up, send it, and then walk away. You fly the flag for Hoyt as well. So you're definitely what is defined as an ambassador. But don't you feel like the work like you've like for me with like bio boards, I
yeah,
throw a chunk of change down to get to do that. No one gave me that thing. Do you know what I mean? And I believed in it
yeah.
and part of the family now. So but yes, what's New York? So has the New
So
York scene differ to what you see other communities?
the New York scene different. The New York City scene is different now because it's not so Eastgate oriented anymore. It's more EUC oriented. So there's much more EUC riders then there are e-skate riders. I won't be one of those people that are saying, "Oh, e-skate's dying." Like, no, e-skate's not dying. It's just the niche isn't as big as it used to be. You know, it's great that yeah, like EUCs are growing and stuff. I'm not gonna hate on it because I'm just not one of those people. It's like, okay, like great for EUCs. EUCs are growing. Um, but yeah, like I'm also guilty to it. Like I ride EUCs also, but I also
There
ride
you go.
e-skate. Yep. See, like I ride EUCs also. I race EUCs. I have a passion for it too. And I have a passion for both of them. The thing is, some days I'm riding my EUC and I'm like, yo, I want to ride my EUC. Like I want this feeling today. And then tomorrow I may want to just like carve and just have a nice blissful carve to work, or just have a nice badass shred on my board, like kind of morning,
The best way to describe it is, for example, if you're, I don't want to say offensive, but like if you're kind of closed off with other PEVs, your opportunity to become I think with everything, you should always be a student willing to learn, try other things. And you tell me,
Yeah.
you go to the shops and you take your EUC and you take your little basket, you buy shopping, and then you take your half a ton dad bod and then walk that
Yeah.
around the shop and buy
Yeah.
stuff and then go home. It's a maturity thing, but you don't have to think
Exactly.
of anything with like the dad bod. You're going out having a good shred, you're having a good time, and you're going out and ride yourself. But then pop to shops, pick up your food, whatever it is, get your hair up, whatever. Take your back. It's a different demographic. Like walking around with a EUC is so comfortable, but they all have their own. You can rip a EUC definitely, but you can't whip
Oh
an
yeah.
EUC like you can with a. We've got that back big fat ass of a board whipping around and sit and carving it. It's
The
an
thing
absolute
is,
dream.
like that's a common misconception though. You can whip. I personally, I've gotten in tune with my EUC so good and with my board so good that I can whip my EUC as hard as I can whip my e-skate. Like it's just the thing is, it's all about feeling how you like ride and how you feel the board out, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you can't ride an EUC the same way you can ride an e-skate. I'm like, yeah, you're never gonna be able to ride a EUC like an e-skate, or you're never gonna be able to ride an e-skate like EUC. I mean, I guess you can if you put your feet side by side on the center of the board, but
Yeah.
you know at the same time, like it's a different feel. That's why I still ride both, because I love the feel of both e-skate and both EUC. So I'm
I
like,
feel like you're
yeah,
limiting your opportunity to share your passion with another community if you have those blinkers, in my
exactly.
opinion.
So people know me from riding EUCs, and people know me from riding e-skates. So like when I go to e-skate events, people know me for e-skate. When I go to when I see you, so when you see e-skate, you see e-skate. You like, you know me as an e-skater, but you also know me as like, oh, he rides EUCs also. And then when you
Thanks for
see me
joining Noel Blocks, by the way. Good
as
content guy, DIY
EUC,
guy.
then you see me on Eastgate also. So like, especially like when I went out to like Apple Valley to race, you know, both communities came together there. That was Eastgate and EUC at the same time, just like clashing in for one place, one event, races and everything. So like people from EUCs know me from EUCs, and they're like, "Yo, what's up? It's Jeff, like on an EUC." And then like a lot of people there were also like, "Holy shit!" Like people that like on EUCs were like, "Oh shit, Jeff also e-skates," and Jeff won first place like sportsman class at AVS, like on an e-skate too. Like, but this is the same Jeff that I know that rides EUCs. Like, that's also like a feeling that people are
So
like,
my
"Oh
question
wow."
is for you as a diverse rider, do you reckon you're going to rep next year Eastgate Con both demographics and bite at the heels of Mario?
I mean, yeah. If I can get my EUC out there, I will be racing my EUC around the track too. Like fun fact, Mario rides the same EUC that I ride. I ride a Begode EXN, and I ride the same. He rides it, and I
That
ride
was a
that Begode.
gnarly race at Eastgate Con. That was
Yep.
gnarly.
Honestly, looking at them on the track, made me wish that I decided to ship my wheel out to Eastgate Home.
We can only
You
have
know?
so many toys, can't we? We can
Yeah, you can
only
only have so many toys. And the thing is, like, I was practicing on dad bod on the track, and the thing is, like,
Mm.
it was a tight track, and I will
You
say,
got
uh,
you got done bad on that straightaway,
yeah,
didn't you? You got
it,
taken
it,
out hard.
man. And the thing is, qualifier. That was the first qualifier. Qualifier just started, and like the board came flying at me. I locked the brakes because I was like, shit, and I
Well,
was.
you had a 180, you had a 180 come in front of you, and I don't know about you. I think that's the biggest fear in a race. Well, when you're riding with people, the
Yeah.
a board going 180 in front of you. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, the thing is, it's to me, it wasn't even a fear reaction because the same thing happened to me at AVS. So qualifiers, the same thing happened at AVS. Dude in front of me, like his board, like he lost traction in front of me, and the two of the Stooge guys crashed right there. We were all side by side. We all like on the first turn at Apple Valley. Um, one of them lost traction, and then the other one, the other one clipped the second
The
place.
back wheels kind of
No,
thing.
the first.
Like,
So first place got. So second place clipped first place, and I was in third pretty much at Apple Valley on the turn and qualifiers, and pretty much first and second crashed right there, and they crashed right in front of me. But the thing is, I like to call it my New York instinct, pretty much. So from riding in traffic, you kind of it gets easier to like be able to react to like quick changes.
yeah.
So like in
One of
that
my
moment,
best friends, Billy, he says the same thing. It's like a puzzle, like a live
yeah,
puzzle in front of. How do I transition between these massive dangerous obstacles in front of me?
exactly. So like that instinct of me riding in New York City had like benefited me on the track because
Mm.
once I got on the track, and the thing is, the second that I saw that happen, like it felt like a moment where everything just slowed down for me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I see this opening and I'm gonna take it. And I took the opening and I took first place for qualifier, took first place for the second qualifier, and then I took first place for like final total. The thing is, once I got ahead, like once you pretty much get like at one thing that I noticed at Apple Valley, and I think it's just in racing in general, is once you get through the first turn, as long as you're keeping up like with that, if you're one turn ahead, then as long as you hold you being around
Hold
the
your
first
lines.
turn and you're down on your lines, then you're good. You know, and you got to also keep up with your speed too. You got to keep up with a constant pace. Um,
I thought it's really interesting for me because as a content guy, I'm quite lucky because my demographic is the other content guys. So it's quite funny. Like all I care about is where do I sit with the other content guys? Like where am I as a ability? But like so I got taken out on a practice lap because and I think about 3 months prior to get gone, I'd done
at least it,
my
right?
ligaments my knee. Yeah,
Oh,
I was I got my knee. My knee was horrendous at Eastgate after that, and I couldn't do anything. But I still set a lap, and I got intermediate, so I'll take that as a win. But yeah, I feel like I missed my opportunity because next year people are stepping up. Like who knows what we're walking into next year with like Eastgate Con and whatnot and that.
yeah, it's
So
crazy.
so with like between now and like ESACon, what are the highlights you're looking forward to for like the rest of the year? Got any like interesting projects or any other things you're looking? Obviously, you said I want to highlight back on your business element as well. So you said you're doing the shop and that. Tell us more
Yep.
about that. So what does that involve,
So,
please?
so pretty much, I decided I was like, I have a passion for Eastgate. Love to tinker and fix and build stuff. Like growing up, like you'd always see me like my first side hustle growing up. Um, I was this kid in fifth grade fixing iPhones. Like that was my thing. iPhone 4, like
Nice.
iPhone 4, iPhone 5. It was like,
You love a hustle, don't you? I've noticed this. You love a little
yeah,
hustle.
yeah. So like I have a drive for just finding a way to make money, like, and do it with something that I enjoy.
So
So
I'm going to throw this in here. I think this is a good time. Sorry to interrupt in a second, but I have to because I just found this earlier. with the Yeezy. This is the grind, isn't it? Finding the
Yup,
deals back in the
yup.
day.
Yes, back in the day, young me. That was middle school me. So like sometimes I would like, I'm not like, I guess
Because
kind of
that's the
proud
thing
of
is
it.
the Instagram element as well. I was like, where does the Yeezy come from? But yeah, it's the grind, isn't it? It's about the
Yes,
hustle, about
yes.
getting the deal, isn't it?
So back in the day, people used to know me as the Yeezy Count. I used to be able to like get information for Yeezy releases. So the reason that the Yeezy Count came up was because I used to be able to get stock numbers of how much pairs of Yeezys were gonna release, like in the U.S. for like Adidas would be releasing like X amount of Yeezys of these sizes. Like I would be able to get the stock numbers. And like through sources of mine that I had back in the day that were working internally, they would give me the information, and then I would just like post this like, "Hey guys, like this is how much like would be coming up." And like if you like really look into like the streetwear like blogs and stuff from back in the day, like you would see my mention, my app be like, "Oh, this dude like at the Easy Count like announced like this many pairs are dropping," and my information was pretty much A1 because the thing is I would get the information about like a week before most people would get the information. And then once like I posted it, nobody believed it at first, but then I would like later on, people were like, yo, like he was right. The stock numbers were true. That really was gonna come out. And you can see there all my posts and stuff from back in the day. Like these were like stuff that I was just like information and everything. It's like, yo, like these are coming out. Like this is coming
That's
out
bad.
this week. Yeah, with Supreme and stuff. So like I'm still into streetwear and stuff, just not as much
I
as like I
noticed that
used.
when you rep, you got your like footwear is a really interesting concept. I think with what we're racing as, and like you always got the high dunks on when you're rep when you're yeah you go
This
something like that.
Jordan ones, these are my go-to sneakers. You will always see me in a pair of Jordan 1 on the track, riding every day, walking every day. Like, yep, Drew. Yeah, you know it. Beautiful dad bod in the background. We all love
Every
it.
time
Love
he
to see
talks to me about Hoyt, I just hate him a little bit more.
it. So yeah, so it's just like every
Today's a
time.
little bit of a moan for me. I'm gonna say a little bit of a moan where I ain't got my board
Oh
yet.
man, Thomas is like, yo, I really want the board. I really want the board. You're teasing me.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, I'm in agonizing pain. You're stabbing me in the heart. I really want that dad bod.
Oh,
But yeah, so pretty much every time you'll see me in a pair of Jordan ones. Pretty much, I own nothing but Jordan ones. Like it's just hands down the best shoe
what you
for
feel
me. I feel
comfortable in, isn't it? There you go.
Yeah, like you see me on the track, you see me riding, you see me walking. I'll always be in a pair of Jordan ones, with the exception that I have one pair of shoes called the Hyper Adapts, which are the like the auto lacing shoes that Nike released with the technology based on the Back to the Future shoe. So
That's
that's the one exception, which those shoes actually saved me when I during the first like week and a half, 2 weeks, the first month of recovery with my collarbone, because like when you're in a sling, it's really hard to um, get down and like tie your shoes and stuff. So like I would be able to slip
yeah.
my shoe. So I see Quinn Foster's asking, how many years did you push boards for? So I did kick, like if you're talking about like kick pushing boards and like regular skating. So I started on a penny board, then on a nickel board, then longboard, then skateboard, then back to
It
longboard,
literally
back.
sounds about right. It's like
Yeah.
size.
So I did
Okay.
about, if you're talking about kick push skateboards, uh, kick push skateboards, I did about that for like 5 years since I was like 10 to like 15. So pretty much every year and like every year and a half ish, almost every year and a quarter, I would switch to a new board. So like I got a penny board, which actually was given to me by my brother. My brother was like, "Yo, I have this skateboard in my closet, like this penny board in my closet for some reason. Do you want it by chance?" And that's how I got into it, like at first. And I would just like kick push around the neighborhood, and I was just like, "Oh, cool!" Like I like the penny board. Then I got the nickel board, which is the bigger version of it, because at that point, like I was growing, like my feet were bigger than the penny board at that point. It was like I would put my foot on the board, and the
You'd be
board
the
was almost the
board.
size of my foot, and I was like,
Yeah, fair.
yo, this doesn't work anymore for me. So I got the bigger version of it, and I rode that for almost 2 years, and then I got into longboarding. I did a little bit of longboard dancing for a bit, and then I got into skateboarding, trick skate, and then I got back into longboards, and then I was introduced to Casey Neistat, and then boosted, and then e-skate, and then just everything just came into it.
Then look back on the interview and come to the beginning. It'll tell you that journey. Right.
Yeah.
So we're going slightly a bit above time. So what I want to do is the next 5 minutes. Anyone's got any further questions, please throw them out to Jeffrey. But last 5 to 10 minutes is you, bro. Like anything you want to announce, you want to talk about before we wrap up. So
yeah, so Hoyt's actually working right now on a little thing called Zoobomb collaboration with different PEV communities. So PEV NYC is a collective of us here in New York City, and Zoobomb stands for, as you can see there, Duck, Hoyt, and Metro. So Duck is the Duck Battery Systems, which is who makes Hoyt's batteries and Metro Board's batteries. Hoyt, obviously, you know who Hoyt is, and Metro is Metro Board. So those three companies are the umbrella company, Zoobomb, pretty much, and that's just a collaboration between them and community. So there's also a version of the sticker called EP Vegas. So that is Joe W's SoCal Legends Vegas. Like division of Esk8. There's also the SD Esk8 one, which is in San Diego, and then like pretty much just trying to connect with the communities as much as possible on their end. So it's definitely an exciting thing, and it's just like events that Hoyt slash Zoobomb, Metro Board, Duck Battery System, just everyone is trying to just push Esk8 in these communities as much as they can, and it's just like an exciting thing to be a part of. So
was it? Is it Pier 76? I'm using my homework here now.
Yes, Pier 76 is our iconic place.
I'm gonna take respect on that. I know my Esk8 history in myself, so you got
Dude, I
need to come home.
I'd like to say officially on the live stream, you come to New York, I got you with the board. You just get yourself on a flight, and you will have a board here in New York City to ride. I'm just saying, Broadway Bomb is.
I'm going to say this to the community. I'm going to say this here, just like I'm so thankful that they're welcoming and the opportunity to talk to so many people who have that unity. And with Esk8, PEV, this tool unites so many people in so many ways. So you know what I mean. And the same thing, you come into my back garden, I got you, bro. It's all good. But I'm going to get close to wrapping up here, man. Like I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm going to leave them wanting more, bro. Always leave them wanting more, So I want to say thank you, everyone who's been joining the whole stream the whole way through. Jeffrey, absolute pleasure. Great catch up. And we'll have our own little sneaky chat afterwards. Sorry, you guys can't be a part of that afterwards. Do you know what's worse? And I'm gonna walk out here is like you say at the beginning of the stream, we talk about recommendations. I appreciate how lucky I am that I've ridden like LaCroix, Bio, Cali, big boards, and I'm recommending boards that I don't have, and it's just irritating me at this point. I tell you that. But I fear. But I'm going to sign off here now, guys. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Jeffrey, it's an absolute pleasure have you on the stream. Next one, we've actually got a live stream coming up in a few days with Wraith boards, world record animal boards from down under. So they're coming out in 3 days. Jeez, man. Like I'll throw a little sneak peek. Like I spoke to them and they said like, where do you use this board? You know what I mean? And it does like the over stupid speed. But I said to him do you go to the shops on this thing? And I said to him, how long does it take you to get from 0 to your world record. So it takes about 10 seconds. I'm like, Jesus, man, this animal. You know, everything demographic. But I'll leave it with you, Jeffrey. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off? And then we'll wrap it up.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you guys have any Esk8, Hoyt, or anything questions, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at the Yeezy Count. And yeah, if you have any questions about the board, or if you want a discount code or anything, just feel free to reach out and ask your questions. Always here to help.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for watching. My absolute pleasure. Once again, hour long, just talking to a friend, talking about the community. Absolute joy. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You take care. Have a nice day. Peace.
Thanks.